Hello, folks. Welcome once again to our talk show, the Interactive Solutions. And then we are here today, as always, every week, bringing you what we know best to do, information, facts, trying to unravel things that ordinarily have been hidden by way of some of the things that are written and people do not have access to that. Today we are talking about values and the value systems, how values are transmitted, the channel of transmission of these values. These are the things that we'll be talking about today. And you know that whatever roles values play in the society are some of the things that we'll be looking at. How individuals are affected by these values. And as always, the eggheads who are going to help us break these things down, who are going to help us break down the walls of ignorance. Some of them are already in the corridor. They are waiting to be brought in. But for the purpose of introduction, I just want to let us know that we are here now. And we urge you to come around and help us to, throw light into some of these issues, some of these fuzzy issues. Help us to throw light and bring understanding. We urge you to come in, with your questions, with your contributions, so to make the thing not just interesting, also informative. So, Mr. Nadi is already knocking at the door, so I'll bring him in while we wait for Mike and Chedozie to come knocking at the door. So, at the moment, Mr. Nadi is here, and I'm bringing him in so that we kick off this discussion in earnest. Value, the transmission of values. You would have seen the topic we advertised some days ago. Mr. Nadi, you're welcome.
Yeah, the tea.
Yeah, how are you? And how has your day been?
It's been good. It's going well.
Yeah, it's good to have you in the studio.
Sorry, I'm just getting myself ready. I just
Yeah,
about
yeah,
making call. Can you
yeah. It's
hear me?
good to have you. It's good to have you while we wait for Mike and Chedozie to come in. I
Okay.
think we can start by without wasting much time. We start off while
I
we
need
wait
to
for them.
I need
While
to
we wait.
fix my I need to fix my hold on. I need to fix my listen. I need to charge my phone because I'm going to work in few minutes. Just give me a minute. Crack on.
It's all right. So while he's fixing his uh, his phone and the contraption that will help us in this discussion, I was trying to walk us through some of the things we'll be talking about today. We are looking at values, the role of the family, the role of religious institutions, the role of education in transmission of these values. And you know that in any society where values are not do not hold the society firmly, there are things the society tend to become dysfunctional. So we want to try to see how these things work in our society and how we can help to make make these things more effective. Information, when you have information, you're better informed to have your say on how things are done. You see things the way they are and then the way they ought to be and work towards making them much better. So that is the essence of today's talk show, and I hope those of you who are listening will help us to make it more informative and more interesting. Your questions, your contributions will go a long way in helping bring understanding, bring clarity where there is confusion. So while we wait for Mike and Chidozie to come on. We
Yeah.
want to
Yes,
start with Mr. Nadi. Yeah, Mr. Nadi, how are you today?
Uh,
Are you
I'm
okay?
very good, T. Sorry, I'm trying to put my phone on charge while I am talking. Otherwise, I will end up, shooting myself in the
Having
leg.
an empty phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand that. So, while we wait for Mike and Chidozie to come on, I think it's best we start this discussion so that our audience will not be left, waiting.
Of course.
So,
Of course.
while we're waiting for them, can you just you've seen the topic? You can help us by addressing the question. Help us to address the question first. What Mike is already in the corridor. He's knocking, so I bring him in.
Okay. I don't know if my phone is charging.
Hello, Mike. How are you?
Yes, brothers. You all right?
Yeah, we are good. And you?
Not too bad, man. I'm sorry to be late, yeah?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Sam has been delayed because his phone has refused to come on. Or rather, his phone is finding it difficult to charge his phone. But nonetheless, you're here now. Then I was going to start up. We are going to start up, but we saw you knocking at the door and felt that it's best to bring you in so that we can kick off.
Cool. Beautiful afternoon, though.
Yeah, it's been a sunny day. Yeah.
Good to see you,
It's
Chad.
been a sunny day.
Where is Omar Besala?
Is he coming on?
He's not in the corridor yet. So once he comes in, we'll bring him in. So at the
Okay, I think we're better off kickstarting because
yeah, I was going to ask you to just address the question so that we can just give us a brief intro about what you think this question represents.
Could you read out the question one more time,
Yeah,
Sundo?
what is the role of the family, religion, and education in transmitting value systems?
Okay. Super.
Yeah.
all right. Okay.
Are you taking a go, Mr. Nadi, or
No, I'm ready. I'm ready. I've fixed my phone. Everything
okay?
is now set.
Can you just address the question so that we can?
Well, yeah. In the context of a value system, family, religion, and education, they are all foundational pillars of a value system. They shapes our identity. What is our morality, our social conscience, and it does this across generations. Within this value chain, it's my opinion. I have got my analysis and my personal studies of it. I think religion and tradition, they are the main propellers. They propel what we value.
Yeah.
Our value system acts as the invisible guidelines that propels our decision.
Yeah.
The way what we prioritize, our behaviors, who leads us, the standard of our society, our family values. It reflects what we hold dear. It reflects what influences what kind of decisions we make, what we consider to be wrong and what we consider to be right. So I leave it there for Mike to chip in as well. I think it's quite an important topic, and I think we'll do justice to it.
Cool.
Okay, Mike, can you take a shot at that?
Yes, sir. What was interesting about that question, I suppose not even a question, that statement, because religion, education, and family, how does it sort of the importance to your value system. But when I heard the question, it actually um it landed with me in more how does, because education, religion, and the family structure is actually the and the family system is actually the structure of society. And it went beyond value system. In my head, I didn't stop at value system. Is kind of like looking at what is the structure of any functioning or developed society. And those three pillars, as Sam called it, is a great word. Um, those are the pillars on which a society is built. And it made me question even further, how does a society fall apart? How does a society break down? What, um, and so, and that's how it made me think beyond even the question, because the question is a leading question, as they all are, and you can go with it where you want. And if I look at it in terms of societies and that don't work. In certain parts of the world, they have societies that don't seem to work, meaning that
Yeah.
there is a drastic um, disparity between people who have and people who have not, and the way that the country and the societies run is run into the ground. They have atrocities that happen that should never happen.
Yeah.
Um, and then you question the structure of that society. And the structure of every society, going back to your question, is built on the value system, which is created by education, religion, and family, right? So, I mean, before I use terms like first world and third world, and and I'm going to bring those terms into this situation because I don't use them because I necessarily believe in those terms of description. I use them for the sake of pointing to what I'm talking about in terms of a sense of clarity, right? You look at the
Yeah.
United States of America or the UK as, a developed country, a first world country that they call it. Yet still, when you look at certain stages of development in history, where certain kinds of people, certain races of people can go to certain universities, can take part in be sitting on a bus, can have education, can have the
Kedoze, you're
rights.
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hello,
yes,
hello,
brother.
brothers.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nice to
yes,
be here
yes.
again.
Yeah.
Cool. Welcome, brother. So
Welcome.
and
Oh, Mamba Salah. Sorry.
Greetings, brother.
Yeah.
and so
Yeah. Well,
and yeah, you go ahead, Sando, yeah.
no. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you. I wasn't interrupting you.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I was saying, when you question the structure of a society and what works and what doesn't work, and even a country, like I said before, just to be clear, when I say a first world nation, they call it, why is it then that in America and in the UK, let's say the ethnic minorities would not have the same privileges and rights as other, um, the majority races of the population in that country. So when you look back again, and this is supposed to be a developed nation, a country where the religion, the education, and the family values, the structure of society are supposed to be so well developed that it is considered to be a nation that is a leading nation in all and thriving. And I know that to be a thriving nation and a functioning society is more. It goes beyond just the education, religion, and the family structure. It goes into finances and economics and politics and all the rest of it. I know that, but the foundation of which all of these people have come from, all the leaders, the decision makers, the policy makers, who bring in these laws that segregate people, that pay one gender more or less than the other one. All of these people come from homes, come from a family setting. They come
Yeah.
from, a strong Christian or whatever religious um, bedrock or foundation that's built on that. So even though, well, I guess my challenge is that, even though the values and it comes down to that same value system, what is it that you value? Because funnily enough, despite the segregation, despite the societies that have broken down and don't function well, and the atrocities and the injustices that occur, every one of us actually have the same values. We all need to be loved. We all need a place to rest our head. We all want financial freedom. We all want an ability to learn and grow, to be at peace, to feel free. And so, despite the societies that break down and don't work, or work better for others and not for others, despite all of that, the value system still remains the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We still value the same things, even though we treat each other in in just ways. So anyway, that's just my introduction to where that subject took me as I was thinking about it. So thanks guys.
Thank you very much, Mike. Chidozie, you just came in. Welcome once again. And
Yeah,
you know the topic of today's show, and
yeah,
Mike and Sam, they've taken a go at it. But I want to ask you, we've
yeah,
talked about value systems.
yep.
What are these values we are talking about? And when you are talking about a system, it presupposes probably something not just simple but complex. So, what are these values we are talking about?
Well, anyway, thank you so much, and hi guys, welcome to this program. I mean, it's nice to be here with you. I think I've listened to my two brothers, and it's been amazing how they have been emphasizing on the kind of role education, family, and religion play in shaping or transmitting value system. I think it's important to highlight that all these institutions, they're separate institutions. I think it's important to highlight that they are kind of interconnected and also a little bit not interconnected. Because if you see uh, on the one hand, the way they are interconnected, you can perceive that they might be complementing each other and aligning with each other in terms of preaching, maybe sincerity, maybe dignity, maybe honesty, maybe ethical way of approaching things and being moral in what we do, or trying to establish high moral level and all of those things. They kind of complement in that aspect. But these are values that are reinforced. These values are formed. These values are reinforced, and these values, they are transmitted across generations. And then these values affect more or less all our behavioral priorities, all our behavioral choices, and then the way we approach things. And then it helps us in determining important things, crucial things about our life. And what he was also saying about first or third country, or third maybe first world or third world countries, and all of those things. They kind of, I see the way he brings in some form of an analogy to express or make his point clear. And that's also one of the things that is happening in the modern time, that this value system beginning to shift. We're experiencing a sort of shift because somebody with what I call more rigid and more flexible value system. If you come into a society like a pluralistic society like the Western world, I think you will begin to understand that the values are shifting more or less from education towards media, and also more or less towards other things that people are not expecting, and religion is playing less important roles in shaping all those things, all those values. Then you see that, for example, in a valley that where we have some of these values can also be respect for the authority and respect for the elders and respect for the way we approach things, and then good listening and active listening and all of those things. But also you have another society where the elders listen to the younger ones. So you can see the clash between these two value systems. That what we need is to find a way that some of these value systems I've mentioned is to find a way whereby they can complement each other rather than in a way that they can contradict each other, because contradicting each other will always not be in the best interest of what we want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Onyemere. That was a good one. Mr. Nadi, I want to come to you with these questions. We've talked about institutions, family, religion, and education. And I want to, can you guide us or walk us through whether these different institutions transmit different values? Do they transmit different values, or are they transmitting the same values?
Well, the T, just as the compass directs the travelers to their destinations, our values, it steers us towards whatever we prioritize. The idea, just like every one of us have just mentioned, is this foundation being the core propellers of values that it actually inculcates these values on individuals. But just like some of us have mentioned, it all depends on what these other subjects like the education, as for example, or religion, as the other part of it. What are they actually? What they present to the general public that defines what this general public prioritize. I don't know if you're getting what I mean. I mean,
yeah.
Whether these values are consciously or unconsciously impacted on us, the effect of the way our decisions. Let me just give an instance let me use education as an example. If I'm speaking from an African context, education that often makes people feel like speaking good English is actually a stamp of knowledge, or a religion that makes you feel like if you're going to church, that is the moral compass. That is what defines your moral compass, that you're always going to church, or some sort of bringing this concept that when people succeed in whatever they're doing, that the praises will be allocated to God, but when they fail, it's now their fault that they fail. It's typical of this, whatever decisions or whatever we prioritize, the way we visualize things, the way we prioritize things. That is what defines the kind of outcome, the kind of things that will start happening in our society. Like our brother Mike said, I don't want to sweat too much, but as our brother Mike said about the first world country and the third world country, these are actually a result of the decisions, of the choices that we've made yesterday, the kind of value that we have inculcated in societies yesterday. If we have inculcated a value of according to Martin Luther King, in one of his famous quotes, he said the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and critically. If education in a certain society does not, gives people the basic foundations of thinking critically and not just obtaining certificates, obviously that society will not be in comparison to a society where critical thinking is the basics of education. So it now brings down to that society where some people, you find out that some people, there's a society that is being designated to be a third world country, and then the other side is being designated to be a first world country. These are the build-up of the kind of choices that we've started making within the internal roots of this our value system, which in this internal roots is family roots, where the kind of things that we teach our children, if we teach our children on how to take shortcuts, on how to focus on things that are fragmented to society, obviously what we end up having is a general society that is this dysfunction, a society that is in dismay. But if we start teaching our children how the impact of the honesty that you have inside your internal family, how that translates into this entire society. This is the kind of society that will end up, just like I mentioned about the compass, it will direct the way of the society in general. So not to go too far, I'll leave it there, but I'll leave it there and let other people contribute as well.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Nadi. Mike, I want you to take a shot at this. You know, in a situation where there are conflicts between religion, education, and then family, how would you think this will impact on probably a child growing up within that society?
Well, I mean, I suppose the only way, I mean, as Chidozie was talking about the sort of modern society versus, let's say, you know, 50, 60 years ago, maybe 100 years ago, the conflict, I just thinking about how the conflict would develop because, religion has a lot, the religious structure, talking about developing morals and, you know, and looking at having that sort of understanding of a higher power, a divine power, teaching humility and gratitude and grace through religion, which is, the whole foundation and bedrock of religion, understanding sort of like that fear for God. Because I mean, Western or Christian religion has that sort of what you call monarchical structure where there's a king, the top man, and that entity, that concept of king or God, um, is he, rules by fear, by love, with humility, with the whole spectrum. And the reason why I'm speaking towards the religion first is because I think the whole religious impact on people's lives is a very emotional impact. It's very, very emotional. It's not about logic, it's about emotions. And so traditionally, you may have some deep religious beliefs that might believe that you shouldn't do, let's say, girls shouldn't, or a certain class of persons should not be worrying about education. They should be leaving school and learning a trade and doing some sort of, role in some kind of serving role. And these are old beliefs. I know, and that's why I'm saying in contemporary society, these these conflicts don't really occur as much as they used to maybe 50 or 100 years ago. Um, so conflicts only occur when the one individual or one group of individuals want aspire to achieve a certain thing. and they're held back by by a by a value system or by a group who don't value what their desires are. So to answer your question, I don't see that sort of conflict being that prevalent today. You know, every individual within every society has an opportunity. Um, I don't want to be naive and say an equal opportunity, but you know, it is more equal than it used to be in terms of opportunities to learn and grow and achieve. And they have lots of options and ways around and a right to express themselves and their identity and what they want and what they want to discover and be curious about. Information is all around. So I don't see a conflict between religion, um, education, and family structure like how it could have been many, many years ago. That I think that conflict is a lot less. I think the conflicts that occur now are more inner conflicts within the individual as to what to do, where to go, you know, you know, what to eat, what to believe in. Do I believe in anything at all? Because all of the traditional structures are so challenged in these contemporary times because of the amount of information overload that there is out there, that people actually get more confused within themselves because there's so much information and so much options and there's so much variety and diversity and roles and names for everything that it can be quite confusing and conflicting within the individual's psyche, rather than the conflict be coming from religion, family, and education. So yeah,
And thank you, Mike.
that's my answer
Yeah,
to that, bro. Yeah.
thank you very much. Chidozie, against the backdrop of what Mike just said now, he said religion appeals more to the emotion. And then Mr. Nadi was saying that education, teaches us to interrogate situations. It teaches us to think and challenge well-known or established norms. So family will always want to, guide you on the morality or ethical nature of things. Now, I want to ask you, which of these three, which one has the most enduring impact on an individual?
Thank you once again, Mr. T. I think I wouldn't say it depends, because the last question you were asking, Mike, was also something I wanted to comment on. It depends on how we see what we define as impact or not, and also how we move from one context to the other. Because as I was talking about during our last discussion about culture, you can also see where I was acknowledging that there are different types of culture, because family, religion, and education is still part of those cultures. And then I also specifically mentioned that we have to adapt to certain cultures that doesn't appeal to us, and that's what it is. Otherwise, you will always be having problem. And you can see when my brother Sam was talking about critical thinking and being able to question. Yes, that's what education should be about. But also, we can understand the impact or influence of this question in relation to that statement, because it's not just about critically thinking; it's also about recognizing those the influence, because the role of those family and this thing is playing on us, on all of us. It's just that influence is giving us that after getting those education, we lack that ability to question those things. We lack that ability to think critically, which is also something that is very common and kind of norm in the Western world. But everything is not just about Western world. We have a family tradition whereby we respect the elders, like I said before, but also when you bring a child in this context, and it has happened in so many occasions, and that's also the reason why at some point some families begin to experience a situation whereby their kids are taken away from them. It's just that is coming back to that question: what role does education, religion play in transmitting value system? It's just about value system, because if you bring in your value system to another context which doesn't suit, because this is a context whereby a child can ask you questions, a child is free to talk, and a child is free to get answers to any question they ask. But then the kind of family trust and family support and family love you get from the other side, you begin to say what is actually happening here. When the same child goes to 1, 2, 3, 4 months to school, you begin to experience some changes in your child. Your child will come back and begin to ask you those questions. But then, if we are really educated and have that power to adapt to some certain things, then we can understand a shift, because we always have a conflict between a shift from one context to the other. If you go to Asian, for example, to Asian context, the East Asians, they also emphasize a lot about respect for the elders. I also mentioned how you need to bow down for an elder in Japan for you to get the discussion started. You understand? So I think the religion plays an important role in forming our spiritual well-being and ethical decisions and all of those morality things and spirituality things, which is also something that we can get from non-religious. Some of the spirituality things we can also get from non-religious things, like yoga, although that yoga can be aligned to religion in a way. But if we go back to education, I also want to mention that it's not just about the curriculum we experience at the university or the schools or the kind of interactions we get from the teachers from what they teach. It's also about those subtle elements, those subtle things that they are not teaching us, that is being transferred subconsciously to us. And those things that are, just like somebody says, we have a written constitution and an unwritten constitution, but you find out that the unwritten constitution is also written. It's just that they call it a written constitution for the sake, So there are those sort of things that those children and us will begin to learn in a context like the Western world, whereby the role of our family and education and our religion has played in us in the other context is also moving. It's going to be expressing a shift. So do we have the capacity, or are we willing to adapt to a new system whereby we can take the good side but also leave the bad side? So we also have a multicultural setting, what we call the value system of multicultural setting, whereby you can still get engaged with your cultures, but also in a way that contributes to the progress of the society. So these value systems we're seeing here, the combination of education and religion and family, they play an enormous amount of role in shaping our reactions to different aspects of life, and also how we prioritize what has to be the particular educational kind of cultural education we need for something that in a place where we have moved to. Otherwise, like I said before in the beginning, it's always going to contradict, and we don't want it to contradict. We want it to align. So it's important to acknowledge that these things are powerful. These three institutions, they are powerful tools in reinforcing, especially reinforcing. So what we need to do is to be able to begin to adapt slowly but surely to a new context, in order to understand the critical aspect of challenging things, and then not just the ability to absorb all the time, absorb without challenging. You need to challenge to be able to know. So when you challenge, then when you ask questions, you can know more. Not just that you're asking questions. Somebody is saying, because I'm an elder, I'm not going to answer the question. That doesn't make any sense, because you still don't answer the question. You don't give the answer. The child is looking for an answer, and the child is perturbed about what's going on. They are asking questions about why is this thing happening like that, and that is also why they have a lot of why and how questions when they go to those schools and come back. But there is a way out. There is a way we can always maximize the benefits of our own culture without losing it, and also using the other side of culture and blending them together to make something better for this value system to work perfectly in us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Nadi, I want to ask you just when you look at education, and then at the same time you are looking at religion. For me, I see the family as standing in a little bit on over this education and then family and then religion, because the family transmits, everybody goes to church or whatever mosque or whatever they believe and they subscribe to, you at home will want to teach your children even mathematics, English, and all those. When you come home, you also try to make up where the religious institutions left out. So you see that the family is in a pivotal position vis-a-vis these two, vis-a-vis religion and education. What do you make of the parental style of parents in trying to shape the value system or whatever values they transmit to their children? I think the parental style is very, very important. Can you address that aspect of this discussion, the parental style in a transmission of value system to a child or in a family?
Well, Mr. T, I think you made a good point as well, and what our brothers and what our brother has just pointed at is quite important as well. But I want to a bit dig beneath the surface, because in my own view, in my own point of view, I value system is either prescriptive or prescriptive. It's either prescriptive or prescriptive. It's either it teaches you what to do and what not to do. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And in certain instances, it's the specificity of value system reflects sometimes certain actions, certain events. As I said, a result of certain actions. I'll explain what I mean by that. When you're discussing about a parent, transferring certain knowledge to the children, it means that parents have gotten that wisdom somewhere else. So he needs to acquire those wisdom because he cannot give what you don't have. So the big question I would have wanted to ask you, and part of what I will be raising in this conversation, is where do parents get their own value system? And in my view, I believe that's why in the hierarchy of, if I use a decision tree or a kind of a Gantt tree to proportionate this whole cycle, you'll find out that in that top hierarchy, it is those institutions that inculcate manners, or what do you call it, morals, which in terms, if we should look at our dialogue, we'll find out it's the religion setting. These are the institution that teaches every human this is wrong, which is the prescriptive, which this is what you should do, and the prescriptive, which is what you shouldn't do. So if a family or a parent does not actually know what is right and what is wrong, there is no way. Definitely what they will be teaching their children is what they don't know actually. So even having said that, it's all like a cycle. It's a cycle of when you get one wrong, when one is wrong, it's actually indirectly or directly correlates to the other. So it's a religious setting where people are being taught on, just like I mentioned before, where success is being allocated, where people assume that when you succeed in life, that is, you don't need to allocate you don't give yourself accurate for succeeding. You don't make yourself feel fulfilled for certain success that you've acquired, that such success is being allocated, or is God make me succeed, and that. But eventually when people fails, it now becomes your responsibility. This in itself have skewed the equilibrium of accountability to one side. It's definitely no way parents who have got this kind of concept will be able to impact on their children the right ways to balance failures and success, because obviously they don't see success as what they have an attribute to us. They see success as some divine people, some aliens from somewhere makes them to succeed. But when they fail, so this mindset, this mentality on its own is what affects this society. You can't be building wells. You can't be building walls instead of wells and expect not to be testy. If you don't want to be testy, what you need to be building is wells, not walls. When you build walls, obviously what you're trying to do is you're protecting yourself. So you can't be doing one thing and be expecting a better result. If the society or whatever reflection that we are seeing in the society is a result of how our morals function, that is as simple as that. If our choices of everything that we're doing is not properly, appropriated, there is no way every other thing that we are going to be doing is going to be on the wrong side. So if the religious setting does not give the right information or define what it actually means for things to be wrong and for things to be right, every other thing that you're going in beneath that will definitely be on the wrong direction. So in my view, if it doesn't answer your question, I think it may answer it from the other side. From my view, the pillar, the root of all of these things, the root of value system comes down to the morals, the player, the person that is going to administrate whether an advice to a child or whether a tutor to a student has to know what it means to has to be able to distinguish between what is wrong, what is this that is going to be profitable to us, and being able to prioritize those things rather than just let me. I think I've spoken too much. Let me allow you to go on with other people.
Thank you very
don't know
much.
if that answers your question.
Mr. T.
Yeah.
I can just add a little bit because parents can take different views on the value system they backed or they transfer to children. Like I've also mentioned before, thank you, my brother Sami, for your wonderful points. I think sometimes some parents can be strict and sometimes some parents can be non-strict. But what we are emphasizing is that clash of cultural orientations, and not just only about the value system, because from one particular side of the world they are very strict in parenting, and then you meet a more lenient context where parenting is open to discussions and answering questions and all of those things. I think it all depends on the take, how much you want to adjust from being strict to being a little bit lenient, or merging them, because we can always merge both to get the best. Yeah. And looking at the question, the question our brother asked about where our parents get the value system. Our parents get their value system just like we get our value system. They can't get from education. They can also get from religion. They can also get from the family. And they can also, an important aspect of getting value system is when two parents meet. One parent can learn the value system of all, because it's one and one meeting together. They have different value system. They've gone through different types of family education. So they grew up now, they meet each other. So they're always going to influence each other without even knowing. That is that is kind of a subconscious influence. So this one is given the value system they have. This one is given the value system they have. They want to match them in order to raise their kids. So the parenting is our family get just like the way we do it now. But then what some of our parents may have missed is what we're experiencing now, a little bit of subtle shift from what we used to what we're not used to, and then how we're adapting to what we're not used to. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I don't want to short mic, but I just wanted to correct something that Chedezia said. I think Chedezia I think there is a distinction between personal values and communal values. Just to highlight that, because personal values, that those ones are very flexible, but communal values are the ones that is legit. Even if you intend to, if I'm in Nigeria, if I'm in the UK now and I decide to be smacking my children,
Yeah.
there's no way that will be possible. So it's in most cases the communal values has got a stronger stake on the family orientation rather than your personal values. Sorry to.
And
Thank you.
and
Yeah,
also
thank
remember
you.
that.
Thank you,
Remember,
gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. T, just
I'll take it from there.
yeah, just sorry, something good.
Yeah.
Remember that the value system, the personal value, and then the communal value. Even the communal value is not binding on you. You can also be flexible with communal values, and also tell yourself what you are going to be. There are many lenient parents in our own context, even though that the communal values preaches otherwise. So you also have to understand that it's a personal decision, not just about communal or personal values. You can interact, both can interact, and then you can also decide what you want to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mike, I want you to look at this coming from the point of education now, or the role of a teacher. Like Sam and then Chidozie rightly pointed out, there are some things that you don't do in trying to transmit values to your children at home over here in the Western world. You know, the teachers seem to be more in a commanding position than even parents. Yeah, they seem to be more powerful in in trying to transmit some of these values we are talking about. So I want you to come in from the point of the position of teachers in transmitting values where parents are more or less weakened by maybe the system in trying to, how do they work out the balance so that teachers, parents are not entirely left out in this process of transmission of values.
Mm. Well, brothers, I mean, the thing about it is that, of course, teachers have their role is a valuable role. School, education, a society is made up of individuals. Okay, they're made up of individuals, and understanding an individual's developmental process is important, because when you have a child in their infancy, the first stages of their development and their introduction to this world, as they know it, as we know it, the parents are everything. They're like gods. They're protectors, they're teachers, they're healers, they're minders, they are the punishment, they are freedom, they're redemption, they're everything. The parents are everything. And then when a child gets of the school going age, their brains develop, their bodies develop, they have to leave home and start to gain a formal education. And a formal education is made up of a desire to improve their intellect and teach their brains how to work and how to think, how to be mentally and physically agile. There's a curriculum in a formal education. Every formal education, every school, all the teachers are trained in universities and colleges how to create curriculums, and not just how to create curriculums, but how to follow curriculums that were created by the ministries and by the other people who create curriculums. So teachers are like shepherds, and they have the young ones that come in. And trust me, a school and an educational system is an example of a mini society. So you've got your headmaster. You could look at him as anything from, the boss. He's the boss of any company. any industry, any office environment, any work environment you come into, there's a boss, there's a top guy, the CEO, and you have all the rest of the hierarchies coming all the way down from the guy who does the landscaping right up to the headmaster, and then the ministry, and then the rest of it. So the school starts at a certain time and it ends at a certain time. There are rules. There's a dress code. Well, in some schools there's not, but there are still rules of what time you come in, what time you have a break, what time you go home, what you teach. All of these things are an example, and the teachers are the enforcers, the soldiers, you know what I mean, who enforce this system that was taught to them, that they are paid and to carry out this role. Now, there are teachers and then there are teachers, right? So there is not just having this knowledge and being trained in this knowledge, but who is teaching this knowledge? Who is sharing this knowledge and educating your children? And it matters where they come from, who they are, what their beliefs are, what their prejudice are. Because don't let's not be naive. There is hypocrisy and there's double standard in all of us. You will go home and you will tell your son, never ever give up. You can be whatever you want to be. And then that same teacher will go to school, and Mike, who's a little bit rebellious and who's a little bit too vocal, you will amount to nothing. You never listen. Get outside. And that teacher will can spiritually demoralize your child while at their home in that family structure, and enhance their children and make their children feel to be, important as they should be. So, it's not, the teachers have a vital role, so vital that the teachers themselves need to be really mindful of how they shape and formulate these children's lives. Because an irresponsible, indisciplined, unaware, um, hypocritical, double standard teacher can ruin a child in terms of their belief system, their self-belief system, their ability to achieve, and the ability to believe in and understand that the world, that this teacher is supposed to be teaching you about this world. And the school and the education system is teaching you about living in a society, about how to contribute to society, and how to learn and achieve in a society with your peers, how to work out conflicts, how to be respectful to authorities, to authority, and how to toe the line. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's not just about what you teach, it's how you teach. It's how you teach and the way that you teach. And that's why none of us are wrong in anything that we say. I talk about value system. The way that you will destroy a child's life as a teacher is not necessarily to do with society values. That is your personal prejudices and your personal values that have become corrupt and toxic that make you destroy that child. And because what the teaching role stands for is not for that type of abuse. It stands for something that where you teach, you and you elevate, not necessarily by being Mr. Nice Guy or you're a good boy and all this. No, not necessarily that. Sometimes you have to teach with a bit of discipline, a bit of um firmness, to keep the kids in line, because youngsters, they're wild animals, really. They don't understand even themselves. So the teachers have a a role. And when I say wild animals, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but it's full of energy, full of youthful vigor, to put it in a way. So the teachers have a great responsibility, but they have to understand their responsibility. They have to be able to separate their own personal feelings and understand what it means to be a professional, and what it means to and how you as a teacher may be a parent, and you might not be the parent of that child, but a teacher still has a parental type of role in terms of how to guide and shape the youngsters coming through their hands over generations. Over generations, you know what I mean? My mom was a teacher, and she was a teacher for over 40 years. And then when I
That's
go back home, when I
That's
go
a
back
lifetime.
home, uh
That's a lifetime.
yeah, and when I go back home, I still get individuals come up to me and say, "Oh, I mean, these are people like my age, you know, in the 50s." They come say, "Oh, how's your mum?" She taught me when I was in, you know, first and second form, when I was 14 and 15 years old. How is she doing? She was always a firecracker. She was always this and that. So yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, the teacher's role are extremely important. It's a great responsibility, and it's not just a job, is a responsibility, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope I answered your question you know, adequately. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you very much. Chedozie, I want to ask you now.
Yes.
How has do you think social media has transmitted or disrupted the transmission of values in the society?
I think it's an important question. Social media, as we mentioned earlier, has got the good side and the bad side, and because you can benefit from the good side, you can also benefit from the bad side. So it all depends. But then the social media is disrupting to some extent, not to the entire extent. It's disrupting because the parent seems, just in a little bit of touch to the previous question, the parent seems to be detached from their role towards children in the modern society, and we cannot blame the parents because the parents are faced. That's what I also mentioned about cultural shift. The parents are faced with some difficult type of schedule that they have to be fitting their schedule in accordance to what they want, and then also how it can help the children. Sometimes their schedule are so tight that they only come back from one shift to the other shift, and then they don't even have time. They just one is working, the other one is working also. Then you program the time, what time you go and pick up the children. But one important thing I want to mention here about the teachers, and also in aligning it with the social media impact, is that it's about the level of freedom that we exercise in the Western world. It's also not that we're also not going to conclude that over freedom is the best. No, we're always going to have some sort of restriction, because that's why we have law. But unfortunately, what is directing what is actually happening now, and then why the teachers are not so much empowered, unlike before, where they were empowered. They are supposed to be, according to some of the comments our brother Mike made, they're supposed to be, they have to have great responsibilities, and then the way they teach. But also you are you are also you find yourself in that awful situation whereby your teachers have got different value system. Are you getting it now? They've got different value system from different parts of the world, and then their own value system is kind of also clashing with what the students' value system is. So you have a bit of conflict there, conflict of interest, and what has to be done and what has not to be done. Because even if you, as a parent, as one of the parents, try to transmit whatever you want to transmit to the child, and if the child goes to school, there's this thing we call peer interaction. This we call social interaction. So those things are also as powerful as anything, because if we look at the law in the land, what is guiding this system? What is guiding this system is just about the family and the child's law. It's not even about the teachers. The teachers can be nice, but they are as powerless as anything. Everything is established and clearly stated in the family and child's law, and that's why some teachers can tell you they don't even have the power to tell the child to stop sometimes, but they do tell the child to stop, but not as much as they have to, because they don't have the right to raise their voices on the child or on the children. So sometimes the teacher will not take a little bit more responsibility, but the teacher is limited to what she or he can do. Then she finds or he finds herself in this bit of chaotic environment where they are helpless in what not to do and what ought to do. So social media comes in between this thing, and you see that some value system may not be comfortable with allowing the kids to be so much exposed to social media at a tender age. And some value system might be comfortable with that, allowing their kids to be exposed to social media in as early as 4, 5, 6 years, and even to the extent of buying them Samsung or iPhone 16 Pro Max. They don't care. So, but then, do we say that that's the best? Well, it all depends on what one sees as the best and not the best, on what one thinks, because it's just going to be about individual perspectives now. But some people, even I've seen a particular context where the Jews here, they have their own school in London. They have their own thing. They have the way they do that. They still carried a lot of baggages from their own cultural value system to here, and they still impart it on the children here. They say that they don't want them to be corrupted. I've also seen a couple of Arab schools in other countries whereby they have their schools and they try to like build the child from a tender age. But then the social media we can learn from the positive side of the social media, but not the bad side, because there are lots of bullying on the social media, kids bullying, and then kids dangerous pornography, and that's why the law is trying to limit and then control and then regulate at the same time. So the social media plays important role in the modern time. That's also the technological side of the technological side of the value system, because we've gone through the social value system, the psychological value system, the religious value system, the educational value system, and then we also have the political value system, the technological value system, which is currently playing an important role. That in the next couple of years, we don't know how things are going to be delivered to people. It can be delivered by robots. So kids are beginning to experience this shift. So it is important to always try to watch your kids and try to like organize what they do. Try to establish this code of principle that can help them relate to others when they get engaged with others when you're not there. And then they can also play an important role in determining what is happening around them, not just about acquiescing all the time, acquiescing and saying that whatever happens is right when whatever happens is right all the time. They can also have the ability to develop critical thinking at an early stage through what the positive side of social media is emphasizing, to be able to stand their ground when you're not there. I think that I can conclude by saying that social media plays a role in the aspect of what technology is capable of doing now, but then that role can also be minimized and regulated and controlled to a large extent by the parenting and then the way they view their parenting roles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chidozie. Mr. Nadi, please, there's a write-up here. I want to just ask you a question on that. So, Anne Galva said, so effectively, religion plays a vital role in the family, at least. It impacts the children to uphold a high moral standard, which of course helps them to avoid getting into problems. And I suggest that every family needs one form of religion or the other. Now, against the backdrop of this contribution, I want to say that the trajectory of development of technological and development seem to have put the family and even religion on the back step, because technology has virtually taken over almost every aspect of our lives. So do you think that technology or education, so to say, is in commanding position vis-a-vis the other two institutions in terms of handing down or transmitting values?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm not seeing the comments, but like I've just mentioned, it's always a correlation to all of these concepts, family, religion, education. One affects the other affects the other. But I think the bigger conversation in all of these things is from each society or organization or individual, just like I was mentioning to our brother Chiedezie, is which one do you prioritize? I don't know if any of us have had looked up this experiment. Call it in the invisible gorilla experiment, where some basketball players were asked to count how many times the ball been tossed. In the same event, a gorilla was asked to go around the same place. And after the experiment, they asked them, did you see any gorilla? They didn't see it because they were focused. So this is what that value system entails. What do we prioritize? I was doing a study about because it was a bit thing of concern to me that I started finding out that if I am looking for a small program or small courses on the YouTube to study like programming and all of that, that most times that that pops into my DM is mostly the Indians, the Chinese, white people. But if I eventually type in twerking or what's the other dancing, it's mostly the Africans, the Nigerians, the other part of the women showing, shaking their bum bum and all of that. And then when I was making this research, it leads me to what we call in data analysis, we call it content farming, where what people intend to prioritize, this is what becomes part of their activities. If you prioritize a certain segment of ideas or views or activities, that this is actually what comes into your timelines. So in the versions of social media or in the versions of whatever you want to define it, your priority directs you to the version of you, of that choices that you make in that particular segment. I don't know if my point is
I'm following.
Yeah. So it does not matter if you as an individual is you have schools. It does not matter if you have families, but the certain choices that the people in a certain demography, the things that it seems to lean towards the more, is what is more prevalent in that society. And this is what defines everything around their society, everything around the activities of that society. So this is why this concept of value system is very important for people to intentionally, just like we mentioned, if education is an institution where people like our brother Mike and our brother Chiedezie have said, if it's an institution that prompts people to think critically or ask analytical questions, if we don't intentionally sway ourselves to those analogy, whatever we sway ourselves towards is what our society will become. So I don't want to stress too much, but I don't know if that answers the question. But the important of value system in a society can never be underemphasized. Whatever we value, if we want to start valuing anything, just put it. If our society will now start valuing data science, or let's just use something else. If we value celebrities, or I was giving a contest to somebody about Nigerian politicians driving Range Rovers and buying big cars and all of that, and a lot of people seems to argue that. I said the reason why you see Nigerian politicians, when they look to America, they don't see good roads, they don't see good hospitals. What they see is the president of America drives in convoy, because this is what the value that they inculcate themselves. This is the choices, what they prioritize in their families, in their respective families. if I'm abroad now, if I like I'm living here in the UK, if I was going to go back to Nigeria and come back with ideas, they will prefer a man that comes back with a big car. This is their priority. This is their value. This is what they value. This is what they prefer over the other one. They don't prefer we sitting down as we're sitting down, having a chat and discussing, having conversation, critical conversation about things that affect us. If I was going to come into the same podcast now and start and bring my girlfriend with half naked with panties and ask her to start shaking bum bum, you will see views will increase, because this is what we value. And this is what that value system entails. So I don't want to stress too much. I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say on this, but it's just like sometimes you prepare your questions and the other questions is coming.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Sammy,
yeah.
I understand.
Sammy,
Yeah.
Sammy, you did well, and then I just want to add something that the social media is in that commanding position, because what our brother was asking, what our brother Gavin was saying, I think it's critical also to establish or organize any form of religion, because today parental guidance, as I mentioned earlier, it's very important. It's very important in what we do, and also what we expose our children to matters. If you begin early to expose your children to something that is negative from the social media, they will get used to it. And you can also, these days, you don't need to even, I can tell you, in so many occasions, you don't need to go to church. If you have something to, if you have work, you can also participate today in the modern world, participate in the church service or the religious service via the social media. That's also the good aspect of social media, because we've got a lot of cyberbullying, we've got a lot of peer pressure inside social media. And if you allow your kids to get used to this thing from an early age, their mental health, which we emphasized the other time, might be damaged. And if your child's mental health is affected at an early stage, it's going to be an issue. So what I normally do for my own particular case study is that I expose my kids from an early age to the positive side of the social media. And then today, they are also enjoying that. There are many things we can expose them, but they always learn from you, because that's what we talked about, getting those value system from the background, family background is very important. So it's going to shape them a lot in what they're going to do, but they will get to an extent where they will choose whatever they want to do. Otherwise, there's never going to be a time that somebody says that if you get to 18 years, you become a man, and if you are under 18 years, you are still going to be under a guardian. So this is just some of those interesting things we're experiencing. The way we model them, the way we establish those religion.
There's something that was mentioned here. I want to just chip in before you conclude, then I get to Mike. Hello.
Okay.
Somebody left. Mike, are you
I'm
there?
Here, brother. Yeah.
Okay. Sam. Sam left.
Sam disappeared. Yeah, but he'll probably come.
Sam said something about just briefly, because we need to wrap up now.
We need to close, yeah?
Before, I just want you to briefly take a shot at this before I get to Mike. Now, when you look across certain divides, just like Sam said, what is prevalent is people tend to go naked in order to make a statement. It's not as if to say these things were handed over to them by their parents.
Nope.
No, this is something that came up as a result of the things they prioritized, like Sam said.
Yeah.
So religion, on the other hand, when you look at some of our kids, what you see them begin to demonstrate is how to use a microphone to begin to do blah, 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 blah. They are now mimicking what the pastors are doing, and they will touch. I don't know if you've seen such videos on the online where they will touch themselves and they will be falling. Now, on the other divide, you see children who are busy in as little as 2 years, 3 years, 1 year. They are minded on how to interrogate their society, their system, to bring out the best in them. But
we are seeing is that religion on our own part is handing over a blah, 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 blah to our kids, and then they will take it up from there. And then on the other hand, you see some people who want to go naked. So, so how do you come to terms with such a situation? Briefly, please.
When you say come to terms with such a situation, that's also, I said, cultural influence, you know. But then we can't assign all those blames to our own particular culture, because if I begin to talk about what's actually happening here, we will not get out of this.
I didn't mention any culture. I didn't mention any culture. I'm
on
the social media.
Yeah, that's a technology. That's a social media culture here we're talking about, because and what people prioritize according to what he said. But it's not just. I don't think it's everybody. That's always what I say. We can't generalize to an extent of people doing it. Not everybody. We have a lot of amazing people in that country. Those few that are doing it are always some people who are also
not few, please.
Few. No, do you know? Can I come in?
The percentage of people who are in this is more than 50%. So 50% cannot be few.
Are you saying that we have more than 240 million people? Are you saying that more than 120 million people are doing it?
If I'm telling you more than that. I'm telling you.
Can I
be more than that.
Okay.
Mr. T.
I just want to make a point. I just want to make
just one point.
I just want to make a point. But then, Sammy, I can listen to you. Then I can come in. No problem.
All right. The only thing I was gonna say to you in all of these things is that it's a very clear result sheet. We cannot say that things are doing. You can't say that the market is doing well unless you are Donald Trump. That the market is doing well when the paths are all going down. If a society is not functioning properly, that actually on its own have verified every other claim. If there is a lot of people doing good in a society, automatically that society goes good automatically. If people are not doing good, that means there are a lot of things that is going wrong that needs to be changed. So we cannot hold on to what we want to reject. That's what I was going to add.
Okay.
So societies. Okay. Sorry. Go on. Sorry.
No, you can continue. I can listen. No problem.
Yeah. Society trajectories is on its own a definition of what that society is. If there is bribery and corruption in a society, it means that majority or the stakeholders or the players in that society are seemingly corrupt. So the both cannot work hand in hand, unless in religion, where I've just mentioned before, where people allocate success to God, but failure to themselves. And in that same setting, a God that cannot be accountable for the down truths, the one that it didn't go well, that is only allocate themselves to the right things, not the wrong things. How then do you expect those who worship the same God to be accountable, to feel like if things are wrong, I should be accountable myself, not only as associating themselves with when it's only good. If it's bad, then they disassociate themselves. So it's just a typical of what choices we are making. What we are prioritizing. If we prioritize accountability, responsibility, respect, if this is our priority, it will reflect in our society, everyday life. And that is the point I was going to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I can continue. If we move further to Saudi Arabia, I don't think that some of those things you mentioned they prioritize them. I think I do agree with some of those. If you move to Qatar, they also have their value system, and you just have to adapt. And there is some sort of something I mentioned before. I said that those things we learn, especially respect, especially being honest, being sincere, is something that can be learned, and also can be transferred. But from what I was commenting on, I was just saying that when we look at what is happening, we cannot generalize. The importance of doing. I think most of the conclusions you draw is always coming from the perspective of quantitative analysis. A kind of when you pick up few instances, you try to generalize. But I think I have done quantitative and qualitative analysis. And one good side that I learned about qualitative analysis is the ability to understand the context, to understand why. Because the why and how is if you never understand the why and how, and that's why you have to produce more words if you're dealing with qualitative analysis than quantitative analysis. So I agree that many people are not corrupt, but you have to understand why. Some people, you might not be corrupt, and then you come into the system, just that why, now we get to understand, and then you want to stand up. But even the people that are pushing you, they're going to push you to the wall, and when you stand up, they're going to disappear. And I'm being honest to you, and when people that push you to say, you're good, you're this, you're not corrupt, when they disappear, the next time you're going to say, no, who cares? So who cares about dying or being patriotic about this country? It's just about understanding the situation. It's not just in our country that these things happen. It happens even in the UK. UK has got advanced corrupt system. And I don't want to get into this because we're not discussing this thing. We're discussing about general value. Even the value system, we have a value system whereby a man is married to a man, and you're not going to impose that value system to me. And we also have the value system whereby a woman is married to a woman. But this is not something we are used to before. And then, but you still have to adapt. You still have to adapt some things, because if you don't, you still have a choice to move to another context. So what am I trying to say? People, I do understand that some of our kids are doing blah, 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 blah on the internet. It still comes back to what I said. It depends on the parental guidance, what you expose your kids to. If you expose your things to the negative side of the social media, it's always going to be like that. They will be focusing on the social media, because if you see now, these 4 years of leadership has produced more comedians, because the reason why it has produced more comedians is because of that thing I am telling you. What is the why? Okay, somebody says social media, social media gives money and all of those things. Oh, because it gives money, I don't want to care about how my country is functioning politically. I don't want to participate in politics. So I've already have this rounded and this configured conclusion that if you get into politics, you're going to join the secret code, you're going to join a bad society to participate in politics. But that's not true. If you really get inside there, that's not true. So what am I saying? We have this tinge, we have tinges of these things in different countries. It's not just in one country. What the value system, as much as I agree with some of those things, I might respectfully differ in a lot of them, because what we are seeing here is not just the value system. Sometimes you can give your child, even children today, less than 10 years, I live in a country whereby a child is free to have a boyfriend by when you get to 8 years or 9. Is that the value system you want me to copy? No, I will never copy that value system. So 8 years or 9 or 10 years, you're free to have a boyfriend, you're free to drink beer, but still we see them as Western society, developed Western society. Is that what you call development? I will completely disagree. But then there are a lot of the other good side in the Western side that I can adapt to, that I can learn, and then use them and improve myself and improve my children, because I'm exposing my children to something good that will benefit them in the future, the same way my parents exposed me to something good. So that doesn't mean that my child cannot learn or improve on what I have done. But I go back to what you've mentioned earlier, Sammy. You talked about the foundation, because the foundation is very critical. The foundation is very important. I am open to question, just like we're talking about here. We are open to question, so anybody can ask. Nobody's opinion is better than we're just doing a conversation, and we're just educating the world, and then we just put it in something that people can listen to. But I'm not going to say that because my child is not adapting to some things here, then my child is not good. No, I also have a role to play in that value system transmission. I also have a role to play in that value system reinforcement, and I have a role to play in that value system forming. So I'm not going to keep that. I'm not going to keep quiet and say that everything that the Westerners do is right. That will be obnoxious to my understanding. So I just want to conclude by saying that I think that as much as we can adapt, we can also use ourselves. I'm commenting again on what our brother Gav said. We can also form our own type of religion. The religion is, you can define what you want by yourself in this modern age, and then use this thing as a mode to transmit them to your children in a way that will benefit them in the future. Because in the short or long run, you might not be there. It is always what you transmit to them that will carry them. And some of our parents are not here with us, but we are here also doing well and then adapting to the society that even to some extent, some of the things we may disagree about. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chidozie. Thank you very much. Mike,
Yes, sir.
Finally, and then...
I didn't even know Mike is still here.
Mike is still here. Finally, this is a question. Then you can just give us your last on it. In a situation where things become dysfunctional, in a probably like Sam gave a certain example. In a situation where some things have gone south, how do you walk some values back? How do you walk back on the negativities that seem to be taking over the space now?
In terms of social media, or just generally in terms
of values? Both social media and how do you, we are talking about family, religion, and education. How can this? How can one use these institutions, to correct some of the ills, some of the things that have gone south?
Yeah, I mean,
no.
But I mean, the thing is, we're talking about values and what do you value, and I think that two things I wanted to mention as I was listening to everybody talking and and contributing rather than just talking. But there are certain values that are timeless. And I know whether it's social media, whether it's in 250 million years or whether it was 20 million years ago. I mean, obviously, if I go too far back, we can be talking about dinosaurs and stuff, so that might not be relevant. But they have certain values that are timeless. And when you talk about things like respect, discipline, humility, the value for love, openness, understanding, compassion, and regardless of how social media develops, and how times develop, there are certain values that are timeless. And that's why there are certain religious texts, like even, you have your Bibles and your Qurans and your different books, what needs to change is the adaptability. That's what needs to change. It's not the actual, because the context and the foundations of scriptures or of families or of education, all of those, the foundations of them are timeless. That ability to develop a functioning society and a functioning community, and adaptability is the key word there. And that is, if there's one value that we as parents, we as teachers, we as leaders and influencers of small groups or large groups, and the whole thing, that you could, even if you influence one person in a positive way, it's still better than not, and with social media, you can get on our social media platform and you can influence thousands, hundreds, millions in one afternoon. So yes, there's a lot more challenges, there's a lot more danger out there for the value system to be challenged and confused and messed about with, but there are certain values that will always be timeless. And for the leaders and for the teachers and for the parents and the friends and all of us human beings, we have to have the ability to adapt. And the only way to adapt is to have that ability to interpret. And as Chidozie was saying, and to look at context. The only way to adapt is to understand context. And the only way to adapt is to understand human nature and to understand human need. The need for love, the need for protection, the need for freedom, the need for a voice, the need for security, So human needs will never change. They will always be the same. And the values reflect the need. And of course, the spectrum widens, as you say, traditionally, you would never hear about, same-sex marriages and all the rest of these genders that, they don't refer to themselves as he or she, but it's they, and it's and it's all of this, so there's lots of bizarre, unusual, I would say, sort of introductions into our hemisphere, into our world now, because of the opening up of social media, and the influence that can come in from social media. But the bedrock of humanity, the fundamentals of human development and human need. As I said before, the respect, the humility, the need for love and protection and security, as long as certain values, they cannot be compromised. They will not be compromised. And if they are compromised, then the whole society is compromised. The individual is compromised. Whether you want to call yourself, identify as a 40-year-old man, if you want to identify as a 13-year-old girl, um, which is the situation that happening nowadays, is because of the lack of those fundamentals that I was talking about. Those timeless values have been compromised in those individuals, and that is why you see these sort of farcical, ridiculous scenarios being introduced. But the important thing is not just to necessarily rebuke them, cast them aside, or as the boys back home would say, throw fire on them, but is to look with an open mind and an understanding. And if you have people, like your children and others around, who getting all fired up, it's understandable to be fired up, but look at it from a perspective of understanding what is lacking. Understanding what is lacking in that situation, and our individual, and what that situation needs: more respect, more clarity of thinking, and a sharper mind, in order to adapt and understand the situation. It's ever evolving world, because the world is evolving. Everything is evolving, but regardless of the evolution, there are certain basics of human nature and human need and humanity that will never change. Never. I don't care how much social media comes around, or how much weirdness you want put into the pot. There's certain fundamentals that will never change, and when they do change, you see the compromise and the corruption that comes. So with the right amount of respect, humility, understanding, and compassion, discipline, and the ability to be open and adaptive to change, we as a race will never be, will always have, will have that ability to try to balance
Mhm.
the imbalance, because the imbalance will always come in some form or another. Anyway, guys, thanks for your time. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Nnadi, what's your final on
Quickly,
today's show?
quickly, yeah, because I'm already set up for work.
Yeah, quickly.
So what I'm gonna say is this. I just wanted to highlight a little bit of what brother Omar Sulab just said. I don't think the conversation, from my own point of view, is not actually to condemn the value system or whatever. My point is actually that whatever value that we inculcate, what other value that we prioritize, is a reflection of whatever situation we are in. That is my point. I'm not here to criticize people who engage in homosexual, or even justifies it, or say that this is the right value system or this is not the right. The only side I'm a bit critical about is when people prioritize a certain value, and in the other way they are criticizing the results of such values. I'll give you an instance of what I mean before I leave. It's like I was mentioning to somebody about the political sector in the country, Nigeria, basically, where the people in government now, most of the things that they are doing now is what they criticized when they were in the opposition, and it's the system goes on and on and on. So it's all about the double standard of people that values somebody that comes in with a nice car and beautiful clothing, and then starts feeling odd in a society where money is more valued than respect. So if you think that ideas is better than money, that is what you need to prioritize yourself. If somebody comes in with a good car or big money, you should prioritize the man that comes with the idea, because this actually is inevitably is going to be the result of, if you value good cars, if you value people who just front in their wealth and all of that, this is going to actually be the outcome of your society. I'm not to criticize it or to promote it. What I'm just saying is that whatever value, whatever we prioritize, whatever choices that we make internally within our society is what the result that we get in the general society. That's what I mean. So to round up my statements this evening, the importance of value, like I said before, can be overemphasized. Whatever we value, whatever we accept in our society, whatever, regardless, even if we want to accept that we're all going to start going naked, we're going to strip, everybody needs to strip, we should also be ready to accept the consequences of those values. Not when that value comes with the result, we feel like, oh, it's these guys, it's these ones. We don't want to take responsibility. We don't want to accept that this is what we have valued. This is, in my village now, if a man will come from Malaysia with a drug dealer, killer, even a murderer in Malaysia, if he comes back home with billions of dollars, I can tell you categorically that my community will value that man to a decent man that has gone to a university, studied, and have a little bit ideas to share to the community. They will value it. And then they come back tomorrow and say the community, the society is in dismay, that the society is dysfunctioning. So it's just having the balancing between accepting that priority, taking that priority, and accepting the consequences that comes with it. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Chidozie, please, can we have your last on today's show? Briefly, please.
Well, I'll be very brief. Thank you, Sammy, for expanding on that. I always say that value stems from individuals' influence from different parts of institutions, from different parts of the world. Just to tell you that we can change the situation in our context when we want, when we unite. Some of the timeless values that Mike was mentioning is always going to be there. We need discipline. We need love. We need to love our community. We need to love our country, and so we can make a change. Because the value clashes. We're not expecting some of the influence we're getting, and that is affecting us and always influencing us negatively, is what we see others do, the sins of the fathers, the sins of the friends, the sins of the peers. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu saw another president that gave all the strategic positions to his people. Are you expecting Tinubu not to do the same? If another person comes tomorrow, are you expecting that person not to do the same? Is it the way they do it here? No. When this value clashes, it's always going to be negative and positive value clash. Positive is going to win. I refer some of you who saw what happened with the guy called Very Dark Man, that the power still rests on the people, but the people don't even know how powerful they are. The last time there was a clash about value system in the Lekki toll gate, we saw what happened. Everybody disappeared. So I'm sure that someday we're going to decide out of love and unity to fix our country, and it's going to be entirely a new country in terms of value, in terms of what we do, in terms of everything. But I'm just going to say that as much as we transfer all these values and we learn all these values, we inherit all these values from education and religion and family, we also have to understand that we can take a little bit of step to add better and more positive values to what we've learned, not just about negativity all the time. So it can help us to see world in a more challenging and diversified way, and in a more complex way, that we can contribute to the world when we are alive, not when we've left the world. So trying to teach our children something that is valuable, something that is good, something that's positive, It's also something that will be honorable for us, even when we are not here. So we can improve or add to what we've been doing to make it better and best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. It's been one fiery day, and then I want to appreciate you guys for all you continue to do, and we'll continue to, do what we have to do every Sunday. Also, Marvin, to propagate it in their various teachings. I didn't get the last of it, but this is what he wrote. Having said that, first of all, I want to thank our audience for having stayed this time with us, and for the contributions and questions and all the things that went with this talk show. It's been a wonderful time as always, and I assure you that we'll continue to come your way every Sunday. We'll continue to come your way. And somebody said, whatever we accept, that is what we value, and we have to take the consequences. We have to accept the consequences of whatever values we accept and we practice. This is my take from today's discussion, and I hope we've really made your day and contributed in one way or the other to your understanding of values and how they are transmitted and their effects on the society. Until we come again your way next Sunday, be in peace and do have Godspeed with you as you go about your activities, not just today, the remaining part of the week, and as days come and as they go. Godspeed, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day,
guys.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.